is social cognition? All right, so really social cognition is the process of attending to and interpreting information about ourselves and others. This is really important when we're talking about social psychology, which is the subfield that attempts to explain how the images, or the implied presence of others influences our thoughts and feelings and behavior. All right, so when we're talking about how that influences it, what is the process of how we think about it? That's what social cognition is. All right, so impression formation and management is a big part of this. All right, the process of developing opinions about other people. We always hear the idea that the first impression is the most important, and it's true. This is a long-lasting saying because it's one of the few that is actually very true. It's the most important, and it's also the most long-lasting. All right, we suffer from what's called the primacy effect when we're making opinions about other people. So information that we receive first is the information that is strengthened and accepted, and the information that contradicts this information is discredited. So for example, if you meet somebody for the first time and they're really nice to you, and every subsequent interaction you have, they're really rude and short and curt with you, you're going to think, wow, I wonder what's going on with them. They're really nice. They must be having a bad day, right? And the opposite is also true. If the first interaction you have with somebody is really negative and they're rude with you, and every interaction with you that you have with them afterwards, they're really nice and they're pleasant, you always think, I don't know, I know what they're really like. Okay, so this is this graphic here, this is a really good impression, a good idea. Okay, so, or a good exercise. Which of these people would you assume is more trustworthy? And of course, we would think the one in the doctor's vest and the doctor's coat would be the most trustworthy, when in fact it's actually the same person, and the only difference is how they look. All right, so impression management is how we work to make sure that we give the best impression possible. We work really hard to give the best impression if the person that we're trying to impress has something that we want. We use all kinds of different strategies to change somebody's opinion of us when we think that they've formed an inaccurate judgment of us. We're most comfortable in the presence of people whose opinion of us matches our own. And we judge others' feedback and judgment of us to affirm or to review our own self-concepts. All right, so I think that this little cartoon was a little bit funny. On Facebook, 273 people know I'm a dog. The rest can see only my limited profile, right? Which is, I think, one of the more interesting aspects of social psychology research that's been done, is how social media and how we put an image out there on social media that is maybe contrary to what's happening in real life. Social cognition. One of the ideas about social cognition is attribution. How do we explain another person's behavior? All right, and one of the ways that we do this is situational or dispositional. Those are really the two different aspects of explaining somebody's behavior. All right, so if somebody comes late to a meeting, you're going to assume something about them to try and explain that behavior. Okay, was that person stuck behind a train and that's why they're late? Or is this person late because they're unorganized and irresponsible and can't get to class on time? All right, so if you said that it was because of a train, you are attributing their behavior to a situation. If you said it's because they're disorganized and irresponsible, it's because of their disposition. All right, these attributions have a very self-serving bias. We're more likely to attribute our own successes to dispositional traits and our failures to situational aspects. All right, the actor-observer effect is attributing others' behavior to dispositional factors and our own behavior to situational factors. Okay, so if you're late to class, it's because your alarm clock didn't go off, or you were stuck behind a train, or you got stuck in a meeting, or you didn't get off work in time, etc., etc., etc. Okay, when somebody else is late to class, it's their disposition. Okay, and this isn't just like being late to class, this sort of thing. We do this as parents. Those of you guys who are parents, you will understand what I'm talking about right away, okay? When your child is acting badly in public and having a temper tantrum, it's because they're tired, they're sick, or they're hungry, okay? If somebody else's child is throwing a tantrum in public, it's because they are a bad kid, Okay, so again, yours is your situation and theirs is their disposition. Okay, this can lead to the fundamental attribution error, okay, which is the tendency to give more attention to the dispositional factors than is appropriate for the situation, okay. An example of this would be how we judge criminals. We don't think of criminals in their situation. We think of criminals as dispositionally flawed individuals. Okay, so this cartoon here is, if all these idiots would just take the bus, I could be home by now. And that's what everybody in the car is thinking as well. All right, attraction. There are several factors that influence attraction, okay? One of the biggest is actually proximity. How close is the person to you, physically and geographically, okay? This is what we call the mere exposure effect. The more you are exposed to somebody, the more positively you feel toward them. And it's not just a somebody, it can be any kind of stimulus. The repeated exposure increases positive feelings, which I think is interesting. Advertisers use this, politicians use this. Okay, our own moods and emotions influence attraction. We are more attracted to people when we're in a good mood, and we're less attracted to people when we're in a bad mood. Okay, we like people who like us. This is the process we call reciprocity. Friends, we pick friends who are usually the same age, the same race, the same gender, the same socioeconomic status. You think you're individual, but think again, you're not. Okay. Physical attractiveness is, however, the most important. Which begs the question, what is physically attractive? And scientists have narrowed it down to the symmetry in bodies and faces. The more symmetric a person's face is, the more attractive others think they are. The halo effect, this is all about how we attribute other positive qualities to somebody that we think is attractive. All right, so we think, oh wow, that person's really attractive. That person must also be very smart. They must be well organized. They must be well educated. They're probably really nice to talk to, etc., etc., etc. All right, and the opposite of this is also true. We've done all kinds of research on this. Statistics show us that women who are more attractive will earn 30% more in their lifetime than women who are rated as less attractive. And we also see the opposite of this, in effect, with people who are obese. People who are obese are less likely to be hired for a job, and they're also less likely to be promoted within their own job. Okay, and again, it's sort of how we attribute positive qualities to somebody who's attractive. We attribute negative qualities to somebody that we find less attractive. So that person is obese, they must also be lazy and unorganized and not motivated, etc., etc., etc. Intimate relationships, okay? So what is romantic attraction? We always hear the phrase opposites attract. Not necessarily true. Actually, science has shown us that the matching hypothesis is more likely to be true. And the matching hypothesis says that we're more likely to end up with partners who are equals, all right? Men and women both want ideas about mutual love and attraction. They want somebody who has a pleasing disposition, somebody with dependable character and emotional stability. However, on the list, men want somebody who is physically attractive. Women want somebody with financial stability and prospects and social status. All right, and what is that about? All right, and this can actually be explained through evolutionary psychology. The idea of evolution, of course, the whole basis of evolution is to move genes on to the next generation, right? So men want somebody who's physically attractive because that's an outward sign of inward health, and that would help them to obviously produce healthier babies, and the more attractive they are, the more attractive babies they will produce, which will ensure that they also attract mates and produce, and the genes move on, etc., etc. Women, however, look for somebody who is financially stable, has good social status and good prospects, and that is sort of, you know, somebody who can take care of them and their offspring, etc., etc. Okay, this is becoming less and less true the more egalitarian our society becomes. And by egalitarian, I mean the more equal we become. What we see is more women who are rating the physical attractiveness of their partner to be more important, and men want somebody who's going to be financially stability and somebody who can be prospective and et cetera, et cetera. Sternberg's theory of triangular love. This is an interesting theory that many students kind of enjoy thinking and talking about. So essentially, Sternberg says that love has three components: intimacy, passion, and commitment. And any way that we combine these three components or have them on their own, it produces 7 different kinds of love. All right, so liking is when you have intimacy only. Okay, and intimacy is not sort of the often thrown around euphemism, intimate meaning sexual relations. Intimacy means a willingness to open up and share feelings and emotions with another person, to really be able to have that person know you and to want to know them. And then we have infatuated love, which is passion only; empty love, which is commitment only; romantic love is a combination of intimacy and passion; fatuous love is passion and commitment; companionate love is intimacy and commitment; and then consummate love is what some students have coined the unicorn, which is intimacy and commitment and passion. All right, and here's a nice graphic for you.